Jeff.
Hi, Chris. Good started. Are you going to make him now?
Yeah. All right. Thank you for coming. This is a stage reading with music. I just wanted to say that there's a lot happening in Maple Corner today. And at 4:30, there's going to be Maple Corner Hamilton, which will start at 4:45 if you want to. All right? But
No, that's down at Robinson's sawmill.
yeah, and
it's great.
And it's great. So enjoy the show.
I am a student of American history. I'm an American folklore geek. Liberty socially, economically, racially. American history is what I seek. Here now we live in incredible times. It's good they say is the ancient Greek. I have a brand new computer program that makes my great-great-grandparents speak. That makes my great-great-grandparents speak. That makes my great-great-grandparents speak to me. It's gotta be just right. We're catching them in a state of liminal quietude when they're thinking of their fate. A piece of furniture is all we need to have. A piece of them is crucial. It's all in the math. It's very complicated. I'm the first customer. It's really just a trial go. It could be quite the bummer. But think of all of the possibilities. Unbelievably, I can speak to the dead. A computer can do this brand new thing. Incredibly, it doesn't all have to be in my head. We have to try to make this machine hum. I don't want to be too timid or to shriek. We're catching them before they take a nap that will make my great-great-grandparents speak. That makes my great-great-grandparents speak. That makes my great-great-grandparents speak to me. 1912 is where I've set. America is turning a brand new country. It's hoping to be yearning. It is a different time. More than 100 years. What will they think of us? I don't want them to have fears. What shall I say to them? These folks from long ago. I've got a list of questions that I want to know. Some of my dead relatives should know these answers. My great-great-grandfather spoke to presidents. Another of my great-great-grandfather was an Irish Catholic bank president. I hope I can catch my great-great-grandmother. It really is for them I seek. They don't even have the right to cast their vote. That should make my great-great-grandparents speak. That should make my great-great-grandparents speak. That should make my great-great-grandparents speak to me. Being brown wasn't easy in the early 20th century. In fact, it's never been easy. Keep it in your memory. My ancestors were bigots. No no easy way to say it. It was a different world. The rules changed to play it. The folks I am to meet are very different. The Irish American and the Boston Brahmin. Liberty economically, socially, racially. American history is what I seek. But I need help in figuring out that thing that makes my great-great-grandparents speak. That makes my great-great-grandparents speak. That makes my great-great-grandparents speak to me. Wow, I have with me a computer program that is brand new. It is being worked on by the computer program professor at my college. And, well, I'm getting my PhD in American history, and she chose me to run some additional tests. Well, the thing is, though, I have to be totally alone with the program.
And me,
He's the playwright,
and them.
and all of you.
Go on.
I have to have in my possession a piece of furniture that was in the home of my fake great-great-grandparents. It's all in the math, which is infinitely beyond me. I just have to press a button. Oh, and I do have some furniture that belongs to two sets of my fake great-great-grandparents. They are from my fake father's side. On my fake father's side, one of his great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers, my fake great-great-grandparents, and fake great-great-grandmother were Boston Brahmins. They lived in Beacon Hill, which is where most of the Boston Brahmins lived. Of course, they were white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant wasps. Now, on my fake father's mother's side, they all came over to America during the Irish potato famine in the late 1840s. Legend has it that my fake great-great-grandfather tied himself to a mast during a storm with a girl. And as the storm swirled around him, he asked her to marry him if he made it out of the storm alive. Well, he made it through the storm. And they got married in New York City. And their son, my fake great-great-grandfather, turned out to be the president of the Immigrant Savings Bank, which started in 1850s in New York City by Irish leading citizens. They were Roman Catholic.
Why do you have to say fake?
Well, I'm your fake daughter. You wrote it.
I know, but it's a disturbing word.
I know.
Could you not say it?
Okay, so I'm your make-believe daughter in this semi-autobiographical musical you're creating.
Yes.
Okay, wasn't there some kind of movie about going back to the future?
This is different. It's a live musical.
Oh, well, should I keep going without the word fake?
Yes.
Okay, so this side of the room is the furniture for the 19th century Boston Brahmin, the most prominent group and the richest and waspish in America, from my great-great-grandparents. And that side of the room is the furniture for the 19th century New York City middle-class Irish Catholic, also my great-great-grandparents. Now, the Boston Brahmins hired the Irish Catholics because the Irish Catholics, when they got to America, they were generally poor. The Boston Brahmins looked down on the Irish. But mostly everyone who was white looked down upon the African American. The whites were Caucasians. They had audacity. They were filled with caucasity.
I just learned that word.
It's a good word, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, how about this phrase? Fuck the 4th of July! I like it, don't you?
No.
I like how it goes in the face of American history. The 4th of July stands for the bogus idea of freedom in 1776 for white men. Latinx, Asians, Black American, and women were not free. We need a new holiday where we can celebrate the idea of freedom.
Suppose.
I suppose. You know, you are making me up out of thin air. I know you are making me a composite of your idea of your daughters. I guess we have to allow that in the playwriting world since, you know.
A white male can't write any black characters.
Right. But you can, I guess, write me. Although there is a gray line there. Fiction writing is changing.
You used to be able to use your whole imagination, and now you can't.
No. The white power structure has to be taken down first. But I like this situation. I got a path to the part of your brain which has the subconscious mind. I could take a walk any old time and see what I can find. I will shake any patriarchy branch that is keeping him blind. I think I might, I think I might, I think I might. We all know that this author doesn't know a thing about being black. He doesn't even know about woke women, in fact. But he put me in this play, so I'll use the power to attack. I want to fight, I want to fight, I want to fight. I feel like Dr. Freud searching for the truth. We are going back in time, just like a sleuth. The history of this country never ends smooth. I have to smite, I have to smite, I have to smite. I got a path to the part of his brain which has the subconscious mind. His arrogance, his caucasity will make him confined. I am not too polite, and I know what there is to find. I love to fight, I love to fight, I love to fight. I think I might, I want to fight, I love to fight. I think I might, I love to fight, I want to fight. These American people, they were of a different age. 1912. Women weren't even allowed to vote. There was no radio or TV. Cars were brand new. And patriarchy was fully ripe. I think 1912 was the right time to catch them. The men wore suits and the women wore dresses that had blouses up to the tippity top of their neck.
Isn't it amazing that women couldn't vote in 1912? It wasn't till 1920 that they could.
I know, yes. Okay, we will start with the Bostonian wasps. So my great-great-great-grandfather left the shores of Boston on a sailing ship to India in 1806. He was 20. He didn't come back from India for 6 years, and then he was a merchant who dealt with goods that came from Calcutta. Apparently he was up on stuff like tariffs, taxes that were applied to foreign goods. Anyways, his son, my great-great-great-grandfather, was also a very successful merchant, buying, selling. My great-great-grandfather was Thomas Peel. He went to Harvard College and then to Harvard Law School, very prestigious. But he never practiced law. He never had to. His father and grandfather made all the money that he and his wife, who was a Cabot, and his father and mother were Boston Brahmin, would ever need. He was a trust fund baby.
Since my father died before my grandma, I get two. Since my grandmother, his daughter, died, I get $2,000 a year Now, I am a playwright and I was a public school teacher. Every bit helps. But
You feel guilty.
he died in 1938.
It is unfettered capitalism,
Yes,
and you are still getting money from your great-great-grandfather?
a little bit. Go on with the musical.
So Boston was the intellectual capital of America, and my great-great-grandfather and his wife were part of that world. They were an intellectual pair. He was a rich man who was a Boston intellectual. He was a progressive thinker in many ways. He started the Massachusetts Civic League, gave it money to start, and he was the head of it. He started the Massachusetts Recreation Association and gave it all the money it needed. He was the intellectual force behind it. In fact, he became the head of the National Recreation Association a few years later and wrote a book about play in education called Frolic in Education. He is known as the father of playgrounds. And when some friends from Harvard Law School started the Immigration Restriction League, he became vice president and gave them most of the money that they would need for 40 years. The Immigration Restriction League. For 40 years. He felt fatherly to all the organizations he belonged to in a patriarchal way.
I did not find out about his involvement with the Immigration Restriction League until 2019, when a nonfiction book called The Guarded Gate about immigration in America from 1880 till 1940. The Immigration Restriction League played a key role, and my great-grandfather was right in the middle of it. His book, his photo is in the book. In the book's index, he took up half a page. I guess my grandmother wanted to keep it a secret. I mean, in his other job, he was known as the father of playgrounds.
True. What is the name of this play? Patriarchy. How about Patriarchy My Ass? Oh, that's not right. It's too mannish. With that title, you have to prove that patriarchy is out of date, and we already know that isn't. Okay, let's be postmodern. To be postmodern, we don't have to prove anything. We ask the questions, and we don't have to make sense. Let's be postmodern feminist theater. We're trying too hard to prove something that has already been proven. But if we name it Patriarchy My Ass, it's a question that doesn't make sense.
I don't know what to think about postmodernism, feminist theater.
Don't overthink.
All right,
And you don't want to bore the audience.
I know. I guess it's a dreamy science fiction musical with a postmodern title.
Very magical.
We'll proceed.
Okay. Well, the computer professor made the experiment easy on my end. I just have to type very magical 1912. Okay, first I put my hand on their furniture, and then I press this button and it checks my blood type to make sure we're related. She said it was very technical. The great-great-grandparents sort of go forward in time. We will meet them in what the web calls the grand nether. There is music. They said it's very new. They're still working out the kinks. Very technical. Okay, are you ready? Yeah. Okay, let's begin. He's in what the website called suspension, half asleep, half awake. But he listens to the music that the computer generated for him, and when he opens his eyes, he can see me.
We are gliding are gliding on our skates, on our skates, on our skates, on the ice, on the ice, on the ice, with our cousins, with our cousins, with our cousins on the pond, on the pond, on the pond, on our skates, on our skates, on our skates. Not a care, not a care, not a care, as we breathe, as we breathe, as we breathe, on our skates, on our skates, on our skates. I still use my hand-me-down ice skates that my cousin gave me when I was 16 years old.
Whoa, that's pretty old.
It's worn in, but the steel can be sharpened. We are floating. We are floating. We are floating on the top. On the top. On the top. On our skates. On our skates. On our skates.
In your youth, you went ice skating a lot with your cousins, didn't you? The Cabots, the Putnams, the Forbes, etc.
All the time. And we sing. And we sing. And we sing. As we romp. As we romp. As we romp. On our skates. On our skates. On our skates. I remember singing that song as we ice skated.
And in the summer, you had a house by the seashore and played with all the cousins. And then you would go to the mountains and play with all your cousins and play, play, play.
Chose a good word, play.
It is a good word.
We would play all day long.
With your cousins. I heard your wife is a second cousin.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
That's really, romantic.
I've known her a very long, long time.
She's been there.
Yes, she has. I loved her when she was 15 and I was 18.
Love.
But I was worried about being her second cousin. So many years went by. After I finished Harvard Law School, I took a long trip, 10 years, to Europe. I was alone, seeing how the world was coping. I went all through Europe.
With your father and grandfather's help. You are in a dream. You can tell me the truth.
Is this a dream? This is a dream. With my father's and grandfather's help.
Where did you go?
I went all over Europe, but I was mostly in London and Italy. I thought about home, America. What would be the important work in Boston? And when I was 33, I came home. I bought a house on Beacon Hill, and I got to work. Social work, education, play, immigration, eugenics.
Eugenics.
When I came back, many people that I associate with were talking about eugenics. I thought to myself, Sarah Cabot is as good a bride as a man can get. I talked to doctors about being second cousins. They all assured me that we were fine. So we decided she would not continue teaching kindergarten and be my wife.
To become a mother to your 4 children.
Yes, indeed. Since she retired from teaching to become the mother of our 4 children, she nevertheless has worked on committees to see that progressive ideas in education get their full treatment.
She retired from teaching to become the mother of your 4 children.
Yes, she was 30. That's quite late to get married and start a family, but she believed fervently in early education, and she still does.
Did she stop and think, what if I wanted to work? What if I wanted children and to work?
What? She fervently believes in early education. She is on many committees.
I suppose she is. Patriarchy at work. There was the successful careers of your father and grandfather. They made a lot of money.
Yes, that is true. My grandfather was an international mercantiler. He went in 1806 to Calcutta, India, for 6 years and traded. When he came back, he was an ardent anti-protectivist. He was for free trade for doing business with India and China. In the 1830s, he was constantly leaving Boston and going to Washington to testify before Congress.
To try to reduce tariffs on the cotton and teas and spices coming from India. And your father?
He was the first person to start security vaults in Boston. He was a partner in Peel Garrison Associates. My grandfather and father were 2 of the most patriotic men in Boston.
You do come from one of the leading families in Boston. I found out your uncle started the Boston Symphony Hall.
That's true. But my philanthropy begins with social work. What's really happening with the working people. My father and mother and the cousins thought it rather odd of me to study all the problems of humanity. I could have given all my money to the Boston Symphony, given all my money to the architectural ditty. My philanthropy begins with social work. The troubles have been around us for centuries. How can the working class be given a chance to seize? They have to learn to play, not be like worker bees. We have to make it fun to learn the ABCs. My philanthropy begins with social work. I wrote Frolic in Education to begin a talk. The system needs to wake up from its long sleep walk. The students obey and teachers use their bad old chalk. The working class needs to find the joys of Bach. My philanthropy begins with social work. It doesn't begin with education, it begins with playgrounds. There has to be a park where one can catch touchdowns. From every neighborhood, from all the distinct backgrounds. I'm on the committees, I make all the rounds. My philanthropy begins with social work.
You are a Boston Brahmin through and through.
I don't like the phrase Boston Brahmin. It's anti-American. My grandfather went to India. In India, Brahmin is the upper caste, but America is not like India. In America, we don't have a caste system.
That's debatable.
Well, America's not like England. In America, you can rise and become whatever you want. In India, you can't.
In America, your ancestors came here from England, stole the land from the Native Americans, brought slaves from Africa, and have been here for 250 years. The African Americans have been set free for about 50 years, but from what I can see, they are treated like second-class citizens.
It's a difficult problem.
It is.
That is why Mrs. Peel and I believe in education. Mrs. Peel and I believe in the power of social work. Social work.
Social work? They were very rich.
I just sang a song. What kind of dream is this?
A song-filled dream.
I have an assortment of cousins and a brother-in-law who are doctors, neuroscience and psychology and that sort of thing. Have you heard of Dr. Freud, the psychologist? He's Jewish.
I have heard of him.
He came to America a few years ago and visited Dr. James Putnam, a brother-in-law of mine, and I was introduced to him in the Adirondacks at Putnam Camp, which he was brought to for a few days. Putnam Camp is a magical place. Dr. Putnam and his brother and Dr. Bowditch and William James bought an old farmhouse and started to invite cousins and friends. You go there to read philosophy, climb mountains, write poetry, and sing songs. Dr. Putnam subsequently went to Austria to visit Dr. Freud. Dr. Freud is getting well known in certain circles.
Oh, he certainly is.
He wrote a book about dreams. I haven't read it yet.
I've read it. It's going to be a famous book. You know, I care about social work too. The working class, the Irish, the blacks, the Jews.
I can see that you have an interest. I have set up a number of causes for the Negro people of Boston.
I'm sure you have.
I have studied the problem.
And as someone who cares deeply about America too, good and bad,
Yes.
I see good and bad and many things in between.
Yes.
You are the head of many committees.
Social work.
Yes, social work. Like the Massachusetts Civics League, the Massachusetts Recreation Association. You are the head of those. And you do it for free, for the good of the common folk, for the good of the Progressive Party, for the good of America.
Social work.
And then there are other initiatives that you believe in.
Social.
You gave them all your money, like the Immigration Restriction League.
Social work. Social work. Social.
Social Project,
Social.
Immigration Restriction League.
Yes.
The Immigration Restriction League is not social work. I don't think it is.
The Immigration Restriction League hopes to restrict those who want to come to immigrate to America. We can't leave the doors wide open.
I like carnations. I like irises. I like daffodils. I like Easter lilies, tiger lilies, royal lilies. But the loveliest one in the whole wide world is Patricia's pride lilies. Patricia's pride lilies. Patricia's pride lilies. I like cherry blossoms. I like buttercups. I like coxcomb. I like Henry's lilies, black beauty lilies, Josie's lilies. But the loveliest ones in the whole wide world are Patricia's pride lilies. Patricia's pride lilies. Patricia's pride lilies. I like crocuses. I like daisies. I like dahlias. I like fire king lilies, leopard lilies, Luna's lilies. But the loveliest one in the whole wide world are Patricia's pride lilies. Patricia's pride lilies. Ah, Patricia's pride lilies.
I think you're in my dreams.
Oh, my dear.
I was holding her chair. She was sitting in it. That's what started the program.
What program?
Oh, nothing. Nothing.
What program?
The computer program.
What's a computer program?
It's a very special machine.
We're in a dream, Sarah. No need to upset yourself.
I'm not upset, Thomas, are you?
Well, a little. I was answering a lot of questions about myself. Excuse me, who exactly are you?
I'm a dream college professor.
Dream College professor. What college?
Oh, you wouldn't have heard of it.
I see.
I am getting my PhD in American history.
Oh, that is very bold of you. There aren't many women who have at all taken the steps to become a PhD candidate in American history.
Thank you, Mrs. Peel.
Maybe you've heard of Dr. Putnam.
I mentioned Dr. Putnam today.
He mixes neuroscience and psychology with philosophy and religion. He mixes Ralph Waldo Emerson into the brew. I find it fascinating. You're familiar with Emerson?
I am.
I find his idealism quite reassuring. Dr. Putnam recites Emerson's poetry frequently, as do we. It's quite cunning.
Sarah reads to me and the children almost every night.
I read to Mr. Peel almost every night. With Bram Stoker's Count Dracula, he takes a bite. Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, the world is bright. But Emerson with his philosophy brings light. His poetry radiates sublime insight. I read to Mr. Peel almost every night, where the great novels reach for the awesome height, or when the medieval lady awaits her white knight, or when the villain has the damsel in terrible plight. When good conquers bad, then I think we'll be all right.
Mrs. Peel reads to me almost every night. I close my eyes and latch onto the novel's flight. The Turn of the Screw by Henry James kept me affright. The Scarlet Letter and Moby Dick have reached the height. Shakespeare she does quite well, so let's not forget that playwright. Mrs. Peel reads to me almost every night. She reads so beautifully and with such amazing sprite. The delicacy of her mind can reach and excite. And even though she's sitting by the firelight, I close my eyes and she is standing in the footlight. Mrs. Peel reads to me almost every night.
I read to Mr. Peel almost every night.
Mrs. Peel reads to me almost every night.
I read to Mr. Peel almost every night. We go to the Unitarian Church. We knew Emerson before he died, and we know his grandchildren.
You know, Dr. Putnam has studied dreams.
Thomas, are we just in a dream?
I think so.
Oh. Well, let's see. Let me tell her about my trip to Washington, D.C., since you had no interest in it at all. Thank you. I took a trip with a few of my dearest friends, Mrs. Cabot, Mrs. Putnam, Mrs. Forbes, and a few others, to Washington, D.C. to participate in the Suffragette March. You've heard about the Suffragette March. Maybe you went? Or maybe you were a figment of my imagination.
Oh, I definitely know all about it. I didn't go, but I definitely know about it.
Well, I can tell you there were some unsavory men that were there to start trouble with those women. I witnessed some foul behavior amongst the men. But you have to boil water if
Sarah,
you want to make some tea.
Sarah, I feel that women's efforts should be around the home, education. Let the men deal with boring stuff, economics, taxes, building.
I know, Tom, that you feel that way.
You have plenty to do with all the education committees you're on.
But what about the women who are interested in economics?
Really, Sarah?
I agree with you, Mrs. Peel.
Economics? What women would be interested in economics?
In the future, many women will be interested in economics. There will be plenty of women interested in taxes and building. There will be plenty. African American women, Hispanic American women, Asian American women, Native American women. Did you notice any African American suffragette groups in Washington?
Yes, they were there. I think one day in the future they will have the right to vote.
But right now, the struggle is for the white women's right to vote.
The Negro people have been out of slavery for 50 years. They have to have time to develop.
That sounds like a caste system to me.
Well, with time.
You should have been with us in Washington, D.C. You have a strong voice.
Of course she does. At least she says she's a college professor. She doesn't say where, of course. But look at the dress she wears. The way she dresses, I'm not sure where she finds those trousers.
They are very modern, I'm sure.
Listen, you have plenty to do. The children, the committees, why would you want more?
The vote.
That's the men's job.
For now.
What happens when you go to Washington, D.C., Mr. Peel?
Well, I work on behalf of the social.
Projects?
I am the head of the National Recreation Association.
Yes, and?
The last time I went to Washington, D.C., I had a meeting with the President
Oh,
of the United States, President Taft,
to talk about the National Recreation Association?
to talk about immigration, the Immigration Restriction League.
Wow, President Taft.
I preferred Teddy Roosevelt. He was a friend and confidant.
Really? He was? So rich.
What did you say?
I couldn't tell. She said something.
I said, what upper class Bostonian people they are. Why do you put your money in the Immigration Restriction League?
Because I believe in the work.
Why?
I believe in the country that Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison fought for. We are fighting for it still. It's a glorious project, a democratic project. I believe in the Protestant work ethic. That is what our country is built on. Now, a huge segment of our newly arrived immigrants follows the papacy. They're Catholics. The Irish, the Italian, Hungarian. Some of them are of the Jewish persuasion. German Jew, Russian Jew, Romanian Jew. I think we need to restrict the entry of all of them. What is your background?
Well, part of my background is the same as yours, but another part of my background is Irish Catholic.
I see. What religion are you?
Well, I'm spiritual, but not religious, if that makes sense.
It sort of makes sense.
You see, we will all be like you in a few generations,
Unless the Immigration Restriction League gets its way.
Yes. Unless the Immigration Restriction League gets its way.
A Catholic woman and a Protestant man can happily wed.
It sort of makes sense.
Unless the Immigration Restriction League gets its way.
A German American and a Russian American Jew can happily wed.
It sort of makes sense.
Unless the Immigration Restriction League gets its way.
An African American and a white American can happily wed.
It sort of makes sense.
If we let too many people in, we'll sag under the monstrous weight. The Protestant work ethic must be fixed. We have to protect the national gate. Unless the Immigration Restriction League gets its way, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant will become a dying breed.
It sort of makes sense.
Unless the Immigration Restriction League gets its way, the Pope will be the leader of our United States of America.
It sort of makes sense.
Unless the Immigration Restriction League gets its way, all hell will be let loose upon these shores of America.
It sort of makes sense.
All hell will be let loose upon these shores of America. All hell will be let loose upon these shores of America.
It sort of.
When my fellow Harvard Law graduates came to me with their newly created the Immigration Restriction League back in 1894, I saw a vision. An America with its back straight. Our nation cannot keep its borders open. We have already let in so many morons. That is the word, morons. Henry Goddard came up with the word in his new book about eugenics. He called them morons. People whose mental age was between 8 and 12 years old. I decided that I would support the project. The Immigration Restriction League with my money. You're right, it is a social project. And I hope we prevail.
I don't think so. Almost all of us are immigrants. But those who came in chains, the African Americans, will fight for their rights as American citizens. They will succeed. It will take some time, but there will be an African American president of the United We will fight the oppression. 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 Did they disappear? I did not mean to make them leave. But hey, it was to fight racism. It was to fight patriarchy. I didn't mean to chant, "We will fight the oppression." The words just came out. The computer program must have been confused by my great-great-grandparents' state of mind. My great-grandmother arrived when I was holding her furniture. Wasn't she so interesting? But their mind was blown. I mean, literally blew their mind. Their white, New England, blue blood, rich, waspish, Boston Brahmin mind.
When you said there would be an African American president.
I know, the program must have sensed that the Peels have gone into a nervous overload, a kind of breakdown. And then the program took what I was feeling and it made me chant.
And the Peels disappeared.
Yes. I hope we see them again, but I don't know. Well, now we have to see if the computer program will work on the other great-great-grandparents whose furniture I have. Truthfully, it is rare for any American to have any of their great-great-grandparents' furniture. But I do. I have two. Two of my great-great-grandfolks. The Peels, which you just met, represent 1/8 of me. 1/8 of my biology, of my genes, of my body. I don't know if I have a soul. Do I, Arthur?
Yes?
Do you think I have a soul?
In an imaginary world, possibly?
Do the Peels represent 1/8 of my soul? No, I don't think so. If I have a soul, it belongs to me. I believe I have a soul in an imaginary world that is mine. And I fight for what I believe is right. Racially, all races are born equal. Socially, live and let live. Economically, social democracy with a little capitalism. I believe I have a soul in an imaginary world that is mine. And I fight for what I believe is right. Even though we are all made up. Amen.
Amen.
Now, we have the Conways, which I have furniture on this side. Hopefully, we will follow the same procedures and somehow the computer program will make them show up. Unbelievable.
It is a show.
Okay, now, on my grandfather on my father's side was not like his grandfather. And America in the 1950s was opening its hearts to Protestants and Catholics getting married. Not African Americans and white Americans, no. But my grandfather, who was English American Protestant, and my grandmother, who was Irish American Catholic, got married in 1959. There were rumblings by the old Boston Brahmins and Conways, the wife's family's name. Mr. Conway was born in 1860, the same year that Mr. Peel was born. And he died in 1937, the same year that Mr. Peel died. Of course, they never met. But Mr. Conway clawed his way from nothing to be the president of the Immigrant Savings Bank for a few years. Then he worked as a stockbroker until the stock market crash of 1929 when he lost all his money. Those are the facts about his life. There are no letters, just the facts. I tried very hard to find out about his personality, but...
I know.
And his wife? I know nothing about her except for the story about her parents coming to America from Ireland during the potato famine. He tied himself to the mast, held my great-great-great-grandmother to him in the middle of the fierce storm. He asked her to marry him if they survived. They were both 18 years old. And when they got to America, they got married. They settled in Brooklyn, had 7 kids, and she was the 7th. She died in 1925.
That's more than many know about any of their great-great-grandmothers.
Should we try the computer program on the Conways?
Some get me mistaken for a wild rover. Some think I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy. Sometimes I work like a wild banshee. But the love letters and the boxes of candy, they all go to you. 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 Becky! Becky!
Becky is not here.
My wife.
She's not here.
Where is she?
She is in another room.
Oh, I suppose she'll arrive in a little while. Like she always does. This is my desk. My chair. This is our love seats. But my desk doesn't look right. What happened? I mean, who are you? And who let you in here? Is this my apartment? This is not my apartment. How did I get here? And how did the furniture get here? And where is she? Becky. Becky! I was just with her.
It's like a dream.
Are you going to scare me now?
I don't think so. I just want to talk.
A dream. Becky! Becky! Am I alone?
Probably Becky will come.
What do you mean, probably? Becky! Becky!
I hope she will come. What's it like to live in 1912 in New York City?
What?
Oh, I hear you are in banking.
I'm the president of the Immigration Savings Bank.
It was started in 1850 by Irish immigrants.
My pa was a ditch digger when he came to New York City from Ireland. He and my pa put their meager savings into the Immigration Savings Bank in 1851. By the time I was born, he was a policeman. When I was 16 years old, he and ma paid for the first year of City College, and then I paid them back. You bet I did. And now I'm the president of the Immigration Savings Bank. Ha!
That is so impressive.
Well, I worked like a dog for
Learn-
40 years to get there.
Learned all the banking terms.
Amortizing swap all the way to Z trenches and everything in the middle.
Wow.
I have worked for the Immigration Savings Bank since I was 18 years old, worked my way through City College and beyond, and I now live on 5th Avenue in Manhattan. Well, in between 5th Avenue and Madison Avenue. Becky! Becky! You're not a lady of the night, are you?
Oh, no. No.
So I just want to be sure.
I am a PhD candidate.
PhD candidate of what?
American history.
Hey, it's quite a country, isn't it? First come the Spanish, then the New Amsterdam, and then the English and the French and the German and the Irish, my folks. Swedish, Italians, Russians, Polish, Hungary, Jews, all kinds. I'm an Irish-American Catholic. You have your Catholics and your Presbyterians, Unitarians, Baptists, and Quakers. It's a brand new country. When you get here, you start from the bottom and you work your way up. That's my take. That's my take. You put your shovel in the ground and you lift it up. That's my take. That's my take. There's no easy way, but do it. That's my take. I tell the newspapermen about the virtue of being thrifty. That's my take. That's my take. Because the working class has no shame in being thrifty. That's my take. Yes, that's my take. I know there's no easy way, but do it. That's my take. You put $5 in the bank, $5 a week in the bank, you'll have enough. Thank you, Jimmy. That's my take. Yes, that's my take. And in 30 years, you'll have 50,000, and that's quite enough. Yes, that's my take. That is my take. And I know there's no easy way to do it. There is no easy way, but do it. That's my take.
Well, that is one way to look at it. But you forgot to mention the African Americans, or the Chinese Americans, or the Indian Americans, or the Native Americans.
Oh, pardon me, I forgot him. The Chinaman. I go to get my shirts laundered. I'm a very loyal customer of that. Well, he goes to his own Chinaman bank. The rules are different for Chinamen.
How are they different?
Well, they aren't citizens of the United States.
Can't they apply for citizenship?
Not if you're a Chinaman. They can stay here for now, but under a working visa. That's the law.
If you are of European descent, you can apply for citizenship of the United States, but if you are of Asian descent, you can't? Is that right?
That is the law.
That's racist! And you forgot to mention the African American and Native American. Say a black person was kidnapped from Africa and brought to America as a slave sometime around 1740s. And say your mother and father bought a ticket from Ireland to New York City a few hundred years later. They left Ireland because of the potato famine. They were poor and in search of a better life, and they found it. Their son became the president of the Immigrant Savings Bank. Only in America, as long as you're not black.
Ah, you've quite the mouth.
I do.
Of course, you are a lady professor, so you must be a suffragette.
I am. I believe that the laws should be the same between men and women, and that includes the vote.
Oh, I guess I believe that the women should get the chance to vote. Becky does.
We agree.
I certainly believe that ladies should have the right to open their own bank accounts, and every penny that she saves is at the Immigrant Savings Bank.
Well, you're the banker.
Well, Becky.
I sent for my love to come over here, to leave Killarney and forever. She said she'd come and be by my side. She'd cross the wide ocean forever. Oh, Kiara. Oh, Kiara. She'd cross the wide ocean forever. It was in the middle of the night when it happened. The ship was lost forever and ever. My love was drowned with the other souls. She is a memory forever and ever. Oh, Kiara. Oh,
God. We're in a dream, mine possibly. And this lady's here. But what she's doing here, I'm not quite sure. She says she's a professor of American history.
This is a dream.
Apparently so.
Then anything can happen.
Becky,
What are you doing here?
I want to find out about you and your husband.
What do you want to know about me for?
I don't know anything about you.
But you know all about Mr. Conway. How he came from nothing and rose to become the president of the Immigrant Savings Bank.
Yes, I know that.
What else?
Well, I'd like the chance to speak to you.
To me? Whatever for?
Well, I'd just like the chance to speak to you.
Chimney Christmas. Did you hear that, Mr. Conway?
yes, I heard it, Becky. She wants to know you.
Oh, she does, she does. You do, don't you?
Yes. Let's see. Did you go to the suffragette march in Washington, D.C.?
No, but I hope they succeed. Mr. Conway hopes they succeed too, don't you, Mr. Conway?
Yes, Becky.
It's about time the ladies got the votes, if you ask me. I assume you are a suffragette. What with the clothes you're wearing, the way you wear your hair? Very strange.
It's very modern. I'm sorry about our clothes. And yes, we are suffragettes, modern day suffragettes.
Very modern day, Becky.
I'll say. I haven't heard or seen it in that cosmopolitan town called New York City. What came up with such an idea?
It's a dream. It's a strange part of the dream.
I'll ask my dressmaker. Maybe she'll know a tailor who has heard of such a thing. Holy Mother of Jesus.
Don't bother.
Oh, good Lord. I have a soiree next week. Would you like to come? You'll be the mysterious guest. We can talk about Broadway shows. We were big fans of George M. Cohen. Give my regards to Broadway. Yankee Doodle Dandy. We are his unofficial fan club. Good Irish-American boy makes it big. I went to see about 25 shows last year, didn't I, Mr. Conway?
Yes, Mrs. Conway.
Sometimes Mr. Conway comes, but many times I go with the group. And you have to get dressed up to go to the theater. Don't you go to the theater? This is a dream, isn't it? But a good dressmaker will set you up nicely to go to the theater. A modern American dress to go to theater will make you feel like a lady on the go. Passing all the Nimrods in the street, you know you're going to a scintillating show. Trust me, a modern American dress. If you make the dress yourself, make it with style, 'cause you're going out on the town. The things that you'll say will be so lively, the men and women will follow you around. Trust me, a modern American dress. The French model of attire is so she. You're in New York City and you feel neat. At the show you take a look around you. It's Broadway and you've got a seat. Trust me, a modern American dress.
I don't get as dressed up as you do, but I do go to the theater.
I'll be out on the lookout for your style. What is your style? I must say I've never seen it before. I got this kind of makes me laugh. I mean, you're a lady.
Well,
Tis a dream, Becky.
I know, but
I am getting my postdoctorate in American history.
I was giving her her thoughts.
No, I was just giving her
Oh,
my thoughts.
oh. Really, what have you been talking about before I got here?
Oh, this and that.
Mr. Conway mentioned the nationality of different Americans and when they got here to America. But he forgot to mention the African Americans or the Asian Americans or the Native Americans.
I forgot to mention.
You didn't mention it.
No, I forgot.
You forgot.
It slipped from my thoughts.
It slipped. A bank president shouldn't forget.
Oh, come on. I was going through the history of the United States, talking about each nationality and how they worked. The Danish, the French, the English, the Irish, the Italians, and the Russian Jews. And the Negro people just happened to slip my mind.
You shouldn't forget.
Well, the fact is that the colored came here mostly against their will. And I know a lot of them would actually like to go back to Africa. Well, I would encourage them to find a way back home.
As a pearly white Mr. Bank President, you want to forget. It's all right that the colored people slipped your mind. Maybe you should quit your job as a bank president and go out on your own and leave the bank to fend. You know how to make money on your own. You wouldn't forget.
I don't know if I should quit my job as the bank president. It slipped my mind that the colored people had a place in the economy. But maybe you're right. Maybe I should have it on my mind to make some money for me this time. I wouldn't forget.
He wouldn't forget.
I wouldn't forget. I wouldn't forget. But hopefully,
There will not be a movement among the African American to go to Africa.
no.
No! They were born in America. They are Americans. People have to realize that they are first-class citizens.
Oh, come on. Do you really think these people want to stay here?
They have a life here. This is 1912. They are protected by law and they have as many rights as do their white counterparts.
And I just thought that the colored people wanted to be returned to their homeland, Africa.
This is their homeland, America. It has been their homeland for 250 years, for better or for worse.
Well,
Mr. Conway.
I apologize for that.
We are Bostonians, and we are Americans. The flag that we stand for has ideas that are fragile, but the people of this land are sure-footed and agile. We are Bostonians, and we are Americans. We came upon these shores many moons ago. We fought against the British, who were our mighty foe. We are Bostonians, and we are Americans. Our forefathers signed the Declaration of Independence. All men are equal and must die in its defense. We are Bostonians, and we are Americans. All citizens of this land are my kinsmen. The Bill of Rights includes the American human. We are Bostonians, and we are Americans. We are Americans. We are Americans. We found you.
Yes, we found you. Good, I'm afraid we left under difficult circumstances.
Yes, we left under difficult
Yes,
circumstances.
Mrs. Peel was quite adamant, and I agreed with her. We had to come back. And maybe this is a dream, like my dear cousin Dr. Putnam writes about. I don't know. We started singing that song. We are Bostonians, we are Americans, and we found you. Mrs. Peel felt, and I agreed, that we needed to talk to you about the Negro issue. We believe in social work, and we are here.
Thank you for coming back.
Christ on a bike, who are they?
Oh, this is Mrs. Conway and Mr. Conway of New York City. He is president of the Immigrant Savings Bank.
This is my wife, Mrs. Peel, and I am Mr. Peel. We are from Boston.
Mr. Peel is the head of the Massachusetts Civic League and the Massachusetts Recreation Association.
Tis a pleasure to meet you, sir. And you, ma'am.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
You found your way to our dream.
Well, we were having a dream with her, and then we left. And then we came back, and you two were here.
Very strange.
Very strange.
Very strange. Well, how do you like living on Fifth Avenue, Mrs. Conway?
Well, it's in between Fifth Avenue and Madison Avenue from where I grew up in Brooklyn to where I am now. It's a mighty long way, right, Mr. Conway?
That's right, Mrs. Conway.
We have to thank you for your hard work in the Immigrant Savings Bank for that one.
Well, I have worked for the Immigrant Savings Bank for 40 years. My life. Sir, I would like to talk to you about mutual funds. Our bank offers you the best rates in the land, the holdings of the gross returns of funds are well thought out and carefully planned. And at the end of the day, you will be stunned. The Immigrant Savings Bank, the Immigrant Savings Bank. Now, the amortization of your balance should be oblivious to the lows and the highs. You won't always have to be taking a chance. No, you'll almost always see your account rise at the Immigrant Savings Bank. The Immigrant Savings Bank. Yes, sir.
No, thank you. My cousins in Boston own one of the oldest financial institutions in the country.
Oh, well, I see you're all set then.
Mr. J.P. Morgan Jr. hosted a luncheon at which I spoke.
Really?
Very productive luncheon.
Oh, what did you speak about?
The luncheon raised money for the Immigration Restriction League. As the vice president of the league, I spoke on its behalf. Have you met him?
Not yet.
He understands the situation.
Immigration?
Yes, immigration.
Well, it's a huge country, plenty of room for immigrants.
They want to stay in the cities.
Give them $200 and a ticket on the train to the Midwest.
And they will take their religion with them.
Why not?
Catholics, the Jews, the Muslims, and you know it, the Hindus. When does it stop?
Well, as a Catholic, I say, why should it stop?
The Immigration Restriction League?
The Immigrant Savings Bank?
I can see this gentleman is far away from the huddled masses that came upon this shore. He's got the old bunny and the wasp often get was from Boston. He has that as part of his lore. I bet he didn't cheer for the Statue of Liberty when it came to the harbor
refugees coming off the miserable ship. The voyage from the old to the new had to be harrowing. Then to look into the mouth of the latest daunting trip. Who are these people? Who are these people?
The Catholic Irish and the Boston Brahmin don't seem to be on the same page on a lot of stuff, including immigration. This will set up the complicated stage for my life, for your life, for your life, for your life.
Who are these people? Who are these people?
Here is a young nation full of youthful hope. This is a beautiful country that can soar. My pop came to these shores without a penny, and he strove every blessed day to get some more. The old money sticks to its waspish ways. The new money uses its power to break on through. And the immigrant shows his worth every day by doing the jobs that nobody wants to do.
Who are these people? Who are these people?
The Irish Catholic politicians in Boston have taken control, and we have let them do it. Cousin Nellie says we must have more children, so we don't allow the Irish to seize it. I love the city of Boston, and even the Irish. I have done my best to bring a playground. The Immigration Restriction League says no to the uncontrollable force that breaks the door down.
Who are these people? Who are these people?
The echoes from my great-great-grandparents, they're live inside my consciousness. I can feel the tugs of each and every one of them. Remember this though, it is my consciousness in my life, in my life, in my life, in my life.
Who are these people? Who are these people?
What about this cosmopolitan tricksy dame? I get the feeling that I've known this curious woman.
I don't know where she's from or how she got here, but you made me apologize to this oddball human.
While we're in this dream, we should find out what this intriguing woman has got on her mind.
Let us be brave and not shrink from the battle. We'll face the storm for the good of mankind.
Who are these people? Who are these Dr. Putnam is doctor of psychology. He says characters in dreams may be mysterious, but if you look hard enough, they are revealed. So, why are you here?
Because I am related to you. Remember, this is best looked at from a dream.
I am related to you in a dream?
And so are you, Mrs. Conway.
Holy Mother of Jesus.
How so?
Well, you two are two of my 8 great-great-grandmothers.
This is a dream. It's not truly real.
You're sick. I'm nobody's great-great-grandmother. Maybe you're a time traveler, maybe you're an idiot.
Maybe she is a time traveler.
Oh, there you go.
I actually am sort of a time traveler.
In my dream?
In the collective dream, everyone's having a dream. Your 4th child, Mary, is she 18?
Yes.
Well, when she is 24, she will have her 2nd child out of 6. He will be a boy, Timothy. He will be one of your 15 grandchildren.
Oh.
He will be my grandfather. He will be the father of my father. And you have a 3rd daughter, Laura, who is 16.
Yes.
When she is 28, she will have her 3rd child out of 5. She will be a girl, Bridget, and she will be one of your 20 grandchildren. She will be my grandmother on my father's side. Timothy and Bridget will get married in 1958, and their first son is my father.
An English American and Irish American, our granddaughter, were married and had a son, and he got married and had you? Well, cheers!
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's 2020.
It's 2022 in your time?
Yes.
My word and willy wags.
You are one of our progeny?
Yes. I think you have 38 great-great-grandchildren.
How many live in Boston?
I'm afraid that I don't think any of your great-great-grandchildren live in Boston. But one lives in Cambridge.
Disappointing.
Eugenics as an idea has been disproven. One's race has 0 to do with intelligence.
It's been disproven? How?
There were 2 world wars in the 20th century. Horrific. They disproved eugenics.
Oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
2 world wars? All the dear people on Beacon Hill striving for what is right? All the committees helping the poor? All the social work? All the idealism? 2 world wars.
Is America still standing?
Yes, she's still standing. A bit in shock. America has become a multicultural state, a pluralistic society with people coming from all over the world, a melting pot. An African American was just our president, and I voted for him twice. America, with its Declaration of Independence and our Constitution, is still our guiding light.
That's good.
Good.
Boston Brahmins, they're a thing of the past. I don't know any bankers. I did some research, though, and to become a president of the Immigrant Savings Bank was quite an accomplishment. To be an intellectual Boston Brahmin, to be president of the Massachusetts Civics League, to be the president of the Recreation Association of America, quite an accomplishment. You did a lot with your lives, and I admire that.
Thank you.
But you were each on opposite side of the immigration issue in 1912. Mr. Conway, you were for open admission for immigrants. Mr. Peel, you were for restricted admission for immigrants.
Yes.
One born rich, the other poor. One WASP, one an Irish Catholic. But they are white in America at the turn of the 20th century, and they don't have to deal with being non-white. And now in 2020, all of us, white people, know how badly those who were non-white had it in America in 1912 and before. Not that it was good being white and poor either.
But I don't want to know any more about the future.
Okay.
I don't want to know any more about the future. I want to wake up in the present. I want to hug a little boy. I want to watch the sea at daybreak. I want to feel all the joy. I don't want to know any more about the future.
It's
110 years from now, and I think we can all agree what will be, will be. You are our great-great-granddaughter, and you are all that we need to see. But we don't want to know any more about the future.
the wars, the fights, and the tragedies. We will see them as they come. We will see our grandchildren, and they will be a lasting sound.
We don't want to know any more about the future.
This stream is our way forward. We will take what we have learned. We'll work toward the great ambition. Freedom is the only way it's turned.
I'm going to wake up now. The vision was grappling, but my hope is alive, even though it isn't easy.
Tomorrow may be dark, but we will hold on till it's light. I'm going to wake up now.
We don't want to know any more about the future. So goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. We don't want to know any more about the future. So goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
They wanted to leave. They wanted to leave the future. They wanted to get back to the present, their present, to their comfortable homes, to their lives. They are lucky Americans. Who can blame them for wanting to go back to their lives in 1912? I can't. Sometimes it's better to just live in the present. They are just getting started with automobiles, airplanes, electricity, telephones, racial and social justice. Did I do a good job with them? I don't know. I only spoke with them for an hour, but I had a mind-blowing, song-infused, dreamy conversation with 4 of my great-great-grandparents in 1912. My fictional great-great-grandparents. You can look in the past or in the future, but it is now that matters for them. And it is now that matters for us.
Great-great-grandparents. Usually your brothers and sisters have the same one. never met on the family tree. They belong to each and every one of us. Great, great grandparents.
Somehow you still have traces of their blood in your body. Your DNA is 1/16 of their DNA.
They belong to each and every one of us.
They may have been a housekeeper, a shopkeeper, a handyman. They may have been a glove maker, a cook, a lady of the mansion. They may have been a farmer, a slave in chains, a wealthy banker. They may have been an engineer, a factory worker, a gatekeeper.
Great, great grandparents.
Some newly conceived humans are made in a petri dish. But they have to have great, great grandparents.
They belong to each and every one of us. Great, great grandparents.
The people of a distant past maintain their mystery. But what they were really like is lost in history. But
They belong to each and every one of us. Great, great grandparents. Great, great grandparents. Great, great grandparents.
All right, if you're trying to get to Hamilton, you have 7 minutes. Sorry.
7 minutes for what?
To get to Hamilton.
Yourself to Hamilton.